Today's topic is from the pillars of Islam, okay, which is related to paper 2. And usually, one question it comes in the exam from either the articles of faith or the pillars of Islam in the CI exam, O levels, Islamiyat. So, for this type of question, for this type of topic, what you have to prepare? First of all, we have to see okay, what is the requirement of the syllabus. As per the requirement of the syllabus, the students they have to prepare the topic of prayer, okay, which is also called salat. You will keep in your mind that you will use either the word prayer or you will use the word salat, okay, never use the word namaz. Okay, so what you have to prepare, you have to prepare preparation. Okay, how do Muslims they prepare for the prayer? Fine, its performance, how it is performed, how the prayers are performed, and the importance of prayer. Preparation, performance, and importance. Then we have congregational prayers, particularly congregational prayers on Friday and Eid. Congregational prayers on Friday and the festivals. Festival means the Eid prayer. In the same way, times of prayer, the place of prayer. Place of prayer means mosque. Fine. And the private prayer is dua. And delayed prayer is called qada prayer. This is what you have to focus. This is the requirement of the syllabus, okay, in our syllabus. But we are required, we the first and the most important thing that our today's focus will be on the importance of prayer, and secondly we will focus on how do Muslims they prepare for their prayer, or what are the conditions which are required to be completed before the performance of prayer. This will be our today's main focus in our today's class. So first of all, what is the importance of prayer in Islam? Okay, what is the importance of prayer? Okay, we can have a question like this. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, said, between a person and disbelief is discarding prayer. That whoever abandons his prayer intentionally without any reason has indeed disbelieved. Or there could be any hadith given as a reference which shows the importance of prayer in Islam. Okay, they may ask you to write about the importance of prayer for the Muslim. What is the importance? Because its importance can be judged by its benefits. Because prayer it holds too much benefits for the Muslims, and Muslims they can get lot of individual and communal benefits in performing these obligatory prayers. Our main focus is on the obligatory prayers here. So prayer it is one of the most important duty. It is prayers are of immense importance in Islam. It is the foremost duty and the most important duty of the Muslim, and it is one of the five pillars of Islam, and the whole structure of Islam it is based on these prayers. The whole foundation, the whole structure of this our religion is based on these five pillars. Islam is based on five pillars. Shahada. What is Shahada? Shahada is to bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and to bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger, the last messenger. This is Shahada. And to pray 5 times a day, to pay the obligatory charity, to fast in the month of Ramzan, and to perform pilgrimage. So prayer it is one of the most important pillar. We can say it's the second pillar, or it is the most important pillar, and it is the foundation of Islam. And it has been repeated several times in the Holy Quran. The word Salat occurs 67 times in the Holy Quran. Okay, it has been repeatedly commanded in different ways, but the word Salat itself has been mentioned 67 times in the Holy Quran, and it is according to this verse, and establish prayer, and pay zakat, and bow down with those who bow down to Allah Almighty, and bow down to with those who bow down to Allah Almighty. The established prayer has been repeated several times in the Holy Quran. Quran has warned such people because those who are neglectful of their prayers, those who ignore their prayers and they are not punctual in performing their prayers. So woe to the worshippers who are neglectful of their prayers. Woe means destruction. So the destruction for those worshippers who are neglectful, although they are performing, but they are neglecting their prayers and they are not performing it in a proper way. Musa alayhi salam has been ordered by Allah Almighty, okay, when he went on the Mount Tur to meet Allah Almighty. At that time he has been commanded and establish prayer for my remembrance, and establish prayer for my remembrance. So it shows that prayer has been remain obligatory on all the divine religions. In all the previous divine religions it remained obligatory. Fine. That is why Holy Prophet peace upon him has laid down too much stress on these prayers, because the one who establishes the prayer, he establishes his religion, and the one who destroys his prayer, he destroys his religion. This is a hadith, because prayer is the foundation pillar of Islam. Okay, it is the main pillar of Islam, and the one who establishes it establishes his deen, and the one who destroys it destroys his deen. Deen means religion, because prayer is a pillar of religion. It is a basic and a foundation pillar of the religion. And what stands between a Muslim and a non-Muslim, a believer and a disbeliever, it is prayer. Because the one who abandons his prayer intentionally without any reason, he has indeed disbelieved. The Holy Prophet said, what stands between a man and disbelief is the abandonment of Salat. Abandonment of Salat. The one who abandons intentionally his prayer, first prayer, has indeed disbelieved. He is a non-Muslim. Okay, so this is the only difference between a believer and a disbeliever. So how it benefits a person? Okay, it gives a lot of benefits. It's a mean and it's a way through which a person communicates to Allah Almighty. Okay, the person, the one who performs these prayers regularly, he becomes organized person. Okay, he performs these prayers on their specified timings. It makes person punctual. Okay, obedient to Allah Almighty. It also teaches self-control and discipline, because prayer, it stops person and it protects person from indecent and evil activities. Okay, from the indecent and the evil activities. By performing wuzu 5 times a day for the performance of these prayers, it makes person pure and clean. Okay, by performing prayers the person becomes clean and pure, and it keeps the person healthy and fit. Okay, because the all such type of harmful germs, he would be free from such type of things. So it's also a source of physical exercise. Okay, so the wuzu or ablution is also a source of inner purification, spiritual purification. According to the hadith of the Holy Prophet peace be upon him, he asked his companions that what do you think about a person who washes his body in a stream that flows in front of his house 5 times a day, whether there will remain any dirt on his body? They said no. Okay, so upon getting this reply from his companions, he said, this is the resemblance of 5 daily prayers. The one who performs these 5 daily prayers becomes clean and pure from all types of impurities, sins. Okay, this is how we can say that these prayers are a source of physical purification and also the spiritual purification. The person becomes clean and purified. A person becomes close to Allah Almighty, because this is the only way through which a person can connect himself with his Lord. So this is the most important and this is the easiest way of the person's connection with Allah Almighty. So prayers, it also cleans a person. His sins are washed away. The person becomes clean and pure from all types of sins, and it is a source of the happiness, and it's a source of Allah's blessings. These prayers are the source of blessings from Allah Almighty. So these prayers are a source of Allah's remembrance. Okay, this is the verse which we have already quoted, that it makes person pious, it stops person from committing sin, because verily the prayer prevents a person from shameful and evil deeds. Okay, it prevents a person from shameful and the evil deeds. So one who is habitual and the one who is punctual in performing these prayers gets himself uh, safe from these types of bad activities. In the same way, prayer not only brings a lot of individual benefit, it brings a lot of communal and social benefits also. By performing these prayers in congregation, it promotes brotherhood, equality amongst the Muslim, unity amongst them, because standing side by side, shoulder to shoulder, it eliminates all types of discrimination, all types of differences amongst them. Okay, no difference between the rich and the poor, the elite and the low. They all stand in the same row, shoulder to shoulder, side by side, without having any difference amongst them. This is how it promotes unity amongst them, equality amongst them, that they all are equal. In the same way, prayers which are performed in congregation are 27 times more in reward. Prayers which are performed in congregation are 27 times more in reward as compared to prayers which are performed individually. So this is how there is more benefit in performing these prayers in congregation, particularly if the congregation is much greater, like Friday and Eid prayer. So it increases the links amongst the Muslims. They come to know about the problems and difficulties of one another. So this is a social gathering. Muslims, they gather 5 times a day in the mosque, and they come to know about the condition, and they come to know about the problems of one another. This is how they try to find out the solution of the problem of their fellow Muslims. In the same way, by performing these prayers in congregation, they get a chance to learn about their religion from the scholars in the mosque, okay, in different sittings, gatherings, which are usually held in the mosque time to time, so they can learn about their religion easily and conveniently. So these prayers are a source of blessing for the Muslims, and through which they can prove themselves to be a Muslim. So that was about the importance of prayer in Islam. The next important thing that we are going to discuss today is that how do Muslims they prepare for the prayer. Okay, they may ask you with these words that how to give a detailed account of how Muslims they prepare for the prayer, or they may ask you to write about outline how what are the conditions which are required to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer. Yes. So the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim is that the non-Muslim do not perform prayer. So if the person is claiming himself to be Muslim and he is not performing prayers, so how we can differentiate between a Muslim and a non-Muslim? So a Muslim who intentionally leaves his prayer, abandons his prayer, he is actually not a Muslim. Okay, in reality, he is not a Muslim. So the difference between a Muslim and a non-Muslim is prayer. So the question could be, what are the conditions which are required to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer? Okay, identify such things in your answer. So what would be the outline of this question? That how do Muslims they prepare for the prayer? First of all, in the start, in the beginning, write very briefly about the importance of prayer. Okay, what is the importance of prayer? Prayer is one of the most important duty on every Muslim. Okay, and it has been made obligatory at the time of the event of Miraj. Initially 50 prayers were made obligatory, and later on these prayers were reduced to 5. Fine. And this is one of the frequently mentioned command in the Holy Quran. So you can start your answer that before when the time of any prayer starts, there is azan. Muazzin delivers the azan, and azan cannot be delivered before the time, because every prayer has to be offered in prescribed time. It has its prescribed time because prayers have been made obligatory on believers in their fixed times, in their stated timings. We will later on mention what are the stated timings, because timings are also, okay, the timings of the prayer also the part of our syllabus, that what are the times of the prayers. Okay, so what are the timings? You can identify the timings here, that first Fajr starts with the breaking of dawn. Okay, at the time when the time of Sahri ends, it is the time for the start of Fajr prayer, which is called the breaking of dawn, and it ends with sunrise. Okay, Fajr, it is from the breaking of dawn till sunrise. So you have to mention the starting time, and you also have to mention the ending time, that when it ends, when it starts, when it ends. So Fajr starts with the breaking of dawn, and it ends with the sunrise. Suhar starts with the declining of the sun. Okay, with the sun starts rising till it reach its peak, and then it starts to decline. So here it is the time for the start. It is the starting time of Zohar when it starts to decline, and it remains there till the shadow of the object becomes twice of its size. Okay, we can easily check that whether the shadow of the object is now the twice of its size by placing any uh, thing in the light outside the sun, out in the sun, and we can measure the shadow of the object. So when the shadow of the object becomes twice of its size, so it is the time for the end of Zohar prayer. Yes, we can mention the prohibited times also, that at what times the prayers are not to be performed. These are the conditions that the person must know, that it must not be a prohibited time, because at three times prayers are prohibited, like exactly at the sunrise, exactly at the time of the declining of the sun, and exactly at the sunset. Asar starts with this. With this means with the shadow of the object becomes twice of its size and ends with sunset. Maghrib starts with the sunset immediately after the sunset and ends with the fading of twilight. And Isha starts with the fading of twilight and it ends with the breaking of dawn. This is how, these are the timings that you have to mention. You can mention that we should answer the adhan verbally. Okay, and we must wind up all our activities and start preparing for the prayer. How do we prepare for the prayer? First of all, cleanliness and purification. Talk about cleanliness, that Muslims, they are required to clean themselves and they must be in a state of purification. So this is the first and the most important thing that could be mentioned, and you have to talk about in detail, that purification and the cleanliness. They must make sure that their body is clean and pure from all types of impurities. Otherwise, if they are in a greater impurity, if there is a greater impurity, then they should take bath. Okay, because Allah loves those who keeps themselves clean and pure. Timings are not mentioned in this way, 5:45 or just like this. You have to mention as it is, which I am telling you, because we cannot fix any specific time. There are certain rules which are to be mentioned, that this is the starting time and this is the ending time, and these times usually change in different seasons. So we cannot fix any time for that. So we must ensure that the garments, the dress which we are wearing, and the place we are going to perform our prayers, it must be clean. Just mention that greater impurity and a lesser impurity, the greater impurity, but you will not, here you do not need to describe in detail when you are writing about the conditions which are required to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer. Okay, whenever you are writing that uh, what are the conditions required for the performance of prayer, this is our topic, because what are the things which are required, how do Muslims they prepare themselves for the prayer. So here you do not need to describe such type of impurities in detail. Just mention that they must make sure that they are not in a greater impurity, otherwise they have to take bath. If they are not in a greater impurity, they just have to purify themselves by performing ablution. So the person himself and the dress which the person is wearing and the place where the person is going to perform his prayers must be clean and pure from all types of impurities. Okay, that is why the Prophet peace upon him said, this is the Quranic verse, and your garments purify them. These are the verses of Surah Mudassir. Okay, this is the verse of Surah Mudassir, and purify your garments. And you can quote the hadith of the Holy Prophet, cleanliness is the half of faith. Cleanliness is the half of faith. Then you must mention wuzu. Okay, so if the person is in a state of greater impurity, he must purify by taking bath. If the person is unable to use water, then he has to perform dry ablution. But before that, you have to write about ablution. Okay, ablution should be described in detail in your answer. You must write in detail that how ablution is performed. First of all, you have to write the Quranic verse. According to the Quranic verse, or you believe when you intend to offer prayer, as salat, the prayer, wash your face, the first obligation. Okay, the second obligation, and your hands up to the elbows, the second obligation. Third is rub your heads with the right hand, the third obligation. And the last, the fourth one is wash your feet up to your ankles. Okay, wash your feet up to your ankles. These are the four obligations of wuzu. So wuzu has four primary imperatives. Wuzu has four primary imperatives, four obligations. And along with that, you also have to mention how it is performed. Okay, wuzu must be performed in this way here. Okay, so afterwards you have to quote from here. Okay, it's not required to mention that recite shahada. Okay, you mentioned that first the person should sit in a pure place and he can start with tasmiyah. Okay, at the end you can mention that at the end of wuzu they must recite shahada, but shahada is not obligatory. Okay, so the four things are obligatory in wuzu. Okay, what are the obligations of wuzu? Wash your face, wash your hands up to your elbows, rub your head with the wet hand means doing masa, and wash your feet up to your ankles. These are the four obligations of wuzu. What is the proper method of wuzu? Here you have to mention that we sit in a pure place and do the intention and say tasmiyah. Start our wuzu with tasmiyah with the name of Allah Almighty. Then wash the hands to the wrist thrice, first right and then the left hand. Then we rinse the mouth thrice, clean our teeth, and then we put water into the nostrils and clean our nose. In the same way, then wash the face from the top of the forehead. You have to describe the dimension of the head, that from forehead till below chin, and from one earlobe to the other earlobe. Okay, so as far as ear means ear, the one earlobe to the other earlobe, thrice. Okay, this should be done thrice, and then wash both the arms with the elbows thrice. Then the head must be wiped once with the water. Okay, 1/4 is obligatory. 1/4 of the head must be rubbed at least. And then finally we wash the feet with the ankles along with the ankles thrice. At the end we can add the word shahada, that at the end of wuzu they recite shahada and they declare their witness on the declaration of faith. This is how wuzu is performed. And in case water is not available, so you have to further describe that in case water is not available, they can perform dry ablution. Okay, we can do ablution. We can do dry ablution, which is called tayammum. Okay, either the unavailability of water or because of the sickness which stops person from using water. So in that case, dry ablution or tayammum can be done, and here you can quote the verse of the Holy Quran. According to the verse, if you are ill or on a journey, or any of you comes from answering the call of nature, so and you find no water, then perform tayammum with clean earth and rub there with your face and hands. Fine. Okay, so this is how you have to, no, there is no need to describe the complete method. Just simply mention that this is a Quranic verse and simply describe that first they have to put both their hands on their, okay, they have to put both their hands on the dust or something made up of earth. They can make the intention, jerk both the hands to remove an extra dirt from it, and then first rub your face and then again put your both palms on the sand or something made up of sand or earth. Jerk your hands to remove extra dirt from your hand and then rub both your hands up to your elbow. Ablution for dry tayammum is same for wuzu and ghusl. Okay, this is what you have to describe. I think there is no place on the earth where we cannot find dust. Okay, Ahmed? And should we tell the prohibitions of tayammum? We just need to mention that what are the conditions for performing tayammum, that unavailability of water and or the person's inability to use water. These are the two major conditions that you have to identify. So dry ablution is done by sand. It is done by something made up of earth or sand. Fine. And that can easily be found available all over the world, everywhere. Okay. Whether you are in America or in any other country, or even you are in a non-Muslim country, you can find a clean earth. The earth everywhere is clean and pure from all types of impurities, and not only it is clean, it is also the source of purification. Okay, you have to discuss these things. These are the conditions which are required to be fulfilled before the performance of prayer. In the same way, the person has to cover his body properly. Okay, and make sure that his satar must be properly covered, because if satar is not properly covered, he is he cannot his prayers cannot be accepted. Okay, this is called satar. Holy Quran In the Holy Quran, Allah has stated that, O children of Adam, take your adornment by wearing your clean clothes while praying and going round Kaaba for tawaf. So, taking best appearance, having a best attire and the best appearance while going for the performance of prayer, and covering the body in a proper way, it is obligatory. It is one of the important condition. And here you can describe satar, that the satar of male, for men it is from navel till knees. Okay, inclusive, knees are included in it. And for women, they have to cover entire body, all her body except her face, hands and feet. Okay, rest of the part must be properly covered for the performance of prayer and also at other times too. Then you have to mention that they must stand in a place which is clean and pure, because prayers are accepted only if the place is clean and pure. They can use a prayer mat or a rug for the performance of prayer, that they must make sure that it is clean from all types of impurities. Facing Qibla is also another requirement, that they must face Holy Kaaba. For the performance, they must set their direction towards the Holy Kaaba. Turn your face towards the sacred mosque. This is the verse which was revealed at the time of the changing of Qibla after the Prophet migration. When Prophet peace upon him migrated, he received these verses that the Qibla has been changed. Okay, in the second year of Hijrah, the Qibla has been changed from Masjid Haram towards Masjid Aqsa. With that verse, the Prophet was commanded, turn then your face toward the sacred mosque. Wherever you may be, turn then your face towards it. But if there is no one to tell you that in which direction Qibla is, use your judgment, use your personal opinion and guess in which direction there would be the Holy Kaaba, there would be the Kaaba. And then after uh, guessing and making your own judgment, set your face towards one direction that uh, you think is more accurate, because Allah is the east and the west. He is in every direction. So wherever you will turn, you will find Allah there. So this direction must be properly identified before the start of prayer. And then at the end, you have to write about the intention. Intention must be made before the start of prayer, that whether we are going to perform Fajr, Zuhr, Asr, Maghrib or Isha, or whether Farz, Nafil or Sunnah is going to be performed. So these things are required for the performance of prayer. These are to be fulfilled before the start of prayer. These conditions are necessary to be fulfilled before the start of any prayer. So what are the basic necessary conditions? First of all, cleanliness and the purification of the person himself, the place and the dress which he is wearing. Okay, wuzu will also be added in it. We talked about the timings of prayer, satar, completely covering the body. Okay, here we will not talk about the shortening the prayer, or we will just mention that what are the basic requirements and conditions which are required for the performance of prayer. Okay, while we talk about ablution, you must mention dry ablution, tayammum also, covering the body part, satar, making the intention, timings of the prayer. These things are required for this type of question. So this is the main question which is related to the performance of prayer, that how prayers are what are the basic requirements for the performance of these prayers. Then we have another question which is also relevant to the same question, that give an account of the conditions required for ablution, wuzu, and the method of performing it. They may ask you to write about the methods of purification. Yes, intention is called niyat. Niyat is the intention, that because actions are judged by intentions. So intention is very much important, that they had to declare their intention, that whether they are going to perform which prayer, whether fard or nafil or sunnah. And it is not necessary to say the intention by your tongue. Only it is sufficient if you make your intention in your heart, and because intention is something related to your heart. So if you had intended to perform fajr first, then it means that it is not necessary that you should say it with your tongue. Okay, again, ablution or method of purification. I would recommend you people to prepare complete method of purification as a separate question. Okay, what are the methods of purification and how Muslims they can purify themselves from different types of impurities. And here in such type of questions, okay, Irhan and the other students, all of you, you must know and understand that here you can identify some types of impurities like Hadasi Akbar and Hadasi Asghar. Don't get confused with these Arabic terms. Hadasi Akbar, Akbar means greater, greater impurity. Okay, Asghar means minor, lesser. So there are two types of impurities, greater impurity and the lesser impurity. Greater impurity are those impurities after which the person has to take bath. Here you can identify what are the impurities after which the person has to take bath, and what are the lesser impurities after which the person has to perform wuzu. Okay, then you can mention that there are three methods of purification. Okay, the first method of purification is ghusl. Ghusl is taking bath. There are three things obligatory in ghusl. Three things obligatory in while performing ghusl. What are these three things obligatory in ghusl? First of all, rinse your mouth. Okay, rinse the mouth. Okay, and you must gargle. You must that water must reach the throat in case you are in not in a state of fasting. You are not observing fast. Uh, no, we cannot say that such type of question could be asked like what are the major impurity and the minor impurity, but question like purification, this such type of question could come as a 10-mark question, that what are the main methods and ways of purification. Okay, so you have to focus on mainly on the ways of purification. So there are three ways of purification. The first one is ghusl, and before writing about ghusl, identify in two to three lines that what are the major impurities. Okay, then you must mention that there are three things which are obligatory in performing ghusl. First, rinse your mouth, and water must reach the throat in case you are not observing fast. Okay, you must gargle, clean your mouth, brush your teeth. Second is sniff water into your nostrils. Sniff water in your nostrils. This is the second obligation of ghusl. And the third is pour water on your entire body. Okay, pour water on your entire body. Okay, so that no part of your body remains dry. Okay, even the hair breadth part should not remain dry. So the whole body must be properly washed in such a way that no part of the body will remain. These are the three obligations without which ghusl will not be considered complete and the person will remain impure. Okay, this is what you have to identify in obligation. How ghusl is performed, you have to mention that before performing ghusl, the person must make intention. Intention must be made. Okay, intention must be made for making ghusl and making yourself clean and pure. Okay, to purify yourself, intention should be made. Secondly, intention is something related to your heart. There is no specific wording. okay, in Arabic or in Urdu, there is no proper wording. Intention means just you are intending to perform, to clean yourself, to purify yourself. Just with that intention, you go to the washroom and you bathroom and take a shower and clean yourself. Fine. First, remove the impurity from your body, the part which is not pure, which is not clean, and the impurity is there, must be cleaned properly. And then the sunnah method of bath is that at first you should perform wuzu. Okay, again I am telling that how we have to perform ghusl in a proper way. Okay, first of all, there are three obligations. Rinse mouth. Okay, rinse your mouth means kulli karna. इसने water in the nostrils मतलब नाक में पानी डालना, ठीक है, and clean your nose. Then third point is to pour water on your entire body, पूरे जिस्म के ऊपर पानी, in such a way that no part of your body will remain dry. Okay, even as smallest or minutest part will not remain dry on your body, and it must be properly washed. These are the three obligations. Then how we have to perform it in a proper way as per the practice of the Holy Prophet? First of all, we must need to make an intention. We must declare that we are going to perform bath with the intention to clean and purify ourselves. Then first of all, we need to remove the impurity from our body and must perform ablution, wuzu, before the start of ghusl. Then afterwards, we have to wash our body in such a way that first pour water on the right side, then the left side, and then your entire body must be washed, rubbed properly and cleaned. Okay, this is the proper method of ghusl. Ghusl is bath. Okay, taking bath in a proper way according to the rules and proper method, it is called ghusl. Okay, there is no such great difference between taking a bath or ghusl. I'm not talking about a bathtub. It is to take a shower or to clean yourself, whether it is by a bucket or by a shower or by any way, but it must be in accordance to the proper rules and regulations of Sharia. Okay, fine. The second thing is, the second method of purification is wuzu, and we talked about in detail what wuzu is. Wuzu is ablution, and first of all you must quote the Quranic verse for wuzu, that oh you believe, when you stand for prayer, wash your face and your hands up to your elbows, rub your head with the wet hand, and wash your feet up to your ankles. First quote the Quranic verse, then afterwards write the obligatory acts of wuzu. Okay, first identify the obligatory acts of wuzu. There are 4 obligatory acts of wuzu. Identify them, list them in a proper list. That first, wash the face. Second, wash your hands up to your elbows. Third, rub your head with the wet hand. And fourth, wash your feet up to your ankles. Then mention a proper method. That first they have to declare the intention, and it must be done in a proper place, and it must be done in a continuous process without any break, and that no part should be allowed to dry before the other is washed. Okay, and it must be done in a prescribed order. Sequence must be properly performed, as that has been explained by the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Okay, while washing our such body parts, which are 2, first we start with the right and then the left. Okay, and it is also recommended that one must brush his teeth and clean his mouth by using miswak. Yes, the first method of purification is bath if the person is in a greater impurity, and the second method of purification is by wuzu if the person is in a lesser impurity. No, that must be written in a proper sequence. Okay, everything must be written in your answer in a proper sequence, and the method of wuzu must be okay. If the person has done wuzu in not in a proper sequence, his wuzu would be considered done, but he will not get a reward of following the Prophet's sunnah and the Prophet's method. Okay, so first of all, wash both the hands up to the wrist, rinse your mouth, gargle 3 times. If the person is not observing fast, then the gargle should be done. Then brush your teeth and clean your mouth by using miswak or brush. Sniff in water with in the nostrils using right hand. Okay, put the water in your nose or sniff water in the with your right hand and use the left hand to clean the nose. The little finger of the shortest finger of the left hand should be used to clean it. This is the proper desirable method. Wash the whole face with both hands from the forehead till below chin and from lobe of one ear to the other one. This is the Sunnah method. First, I had identified you that first are only four things. Rest of the things are Sunnah, which is prescribed, which is not obligatory. Okay, so you must be clear that what are first and what are other desirable method. Then wash the right arm, then the left arm up to the elbow. Okay, and then you can further identify other things in your answer, like that wet hand. Okay, perform massa with your wet hand, wet your hand, and perform massa by wiping hand on 1/4 of the head. This is how massa is performed, and massa is also obligatory. Okay, first is that thing, if that has been missed, that thing will not be considered done. Wuzu will not be considered complete. But if sunnah is missed, wuzu will be considered complete, but the person will not get the reward of following the Prophet peace be upon him sunnah. Fine. So massa should be done, and afterwards at the end, both the feet must be washed up to the ankle. So wuzu, and in this way wuzu is done in a proper way. Third method of purification is tayammum. Okay, so what are the first? There are four first. Okay, which are there in the, mentioned in the verse of the Holy Quran. Okay, they are washing the face, washing both the hands up to the elbows, and rubbing the head with the wet hand, and washing both the feet up to the ankle. These are the first of wuzu. Fine. So there are four firsts which are there mentioned in the Quranic verse which we had discussed earlier, that oh, you believe when you stand for prayer, wash your face and your hands up to your elbows, rub your head with the wet hand, and wash your face with the ankles. And the Sunnah method we had described that this is a Sunnah method, the way it is to be properly performed. Okay, facing in a proper sitting in a proper direction, first washing both the hands up to the wrist, then rinse your mouth, sniffing water into the nostrils, brushing the teeth, and so many things that we had identified, though, which are not mentioned in the obligation. Okay, other than the obligations, rest of the things that we had mentioned in the prescribed method are Sunnah of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. So the third method of purification is tayammum, which we had discussed in the first question about tayammum, that if you find no water, if you are ill or on a journey, and you or any one of you comes from answering the call of nature, and you find no water, or the person is unable to use water, then perform tayammum with the clean earth and rub therewith your faces and hands. So these are the two, there are two conditions for performing dry ablution. Either the water is not available, or the person is unable to use water. Either the unavailability of water, or sickness because of which the person is unable to use water. Okay, or water is not suitable for ablution. Water is there but it is not suitable for ablution. Okay, so in such case the person is allowed to perform dry ablution, and dry ablution is same for both. What is meant by both? Both means for wuzu and for ghusl. If the person is, whether is the person is in a greater impurity or the person is in a lesser impurity. Okay, whether the person is in a greater impurity or in a lesser impurity, if the person is unable to use water or water is not available, he can purify himself by performing dry ablution, and the dry ablution method will remain same in both cases. Okay, this is the method. That first, it only has three steps. The first step is to do niyat. The second step is to rub your face, and the third step is to rub your hands up to your elbows. Okay, so these are the three steps in tayammum, which is called dry ablution. So that was about the first topic, which was about the importance of prayer and how do Muslims they prepare for the prayer, and that how uh, they clean themselves and how they purify themselves for the performance of prayers.